Elda here. I made it back from Utah, so I decided to do a live because I was gonna make this pumpkin bread. So here's the thing. I have been a little bit off on my eating and I need to get back on track. So for me to stay on track with my eating and my healthy lifestyle, I'm a sweet tooth girl. I need something sweet or something that tastes good to me for me to be successful. So with all these plans that I do, that is the beauty of them. They allow you to eat the good stuff too. So I always make sure I have like one thing per day that I can have that feels like a treat to me. So I'm gonna make this 1 bowl Greek yogurt pumpkin bread, which I've never made before. And that's usually what happens when I make these. I just kind of grab a recipe that looks good to me, has great ingredients, and I go for it. For the most part, they turn out, they don't always, but for the most part they do. And I always tweak things a little bit because as I have some allergies, to make them fit the way I think I'll like them. So I am gonna tweak this one a little bit too, but I will post the recipe a little bit later on today for you guys. Once it's cooked, I'm gonna bake it. I'm gonna cut out a piece, take a picture, and put a recipe with it, and I will share that with all of you. So this is all made in 1 bowl. I'm gonna start with beating 2, and I always use organic eggs. So you just lightly beat those. You can even throw them in your mixer, but sharing is caring. Yes, Lori, thank you for hopping on and happy Sunday. Okay, so 2 eggs. I'm just gonna whisk that in there just a little bit just to break the yolks. Then I'm gonna add pumpkin. This is just organic pumpkin, nothing else. 1/2 cup. And I didn't really measure this out, but I had this left over from a few days ago. I think it's still good. And it's about 1/2 cup, so I'm just gonna use that. Okay, so for this recipe, it asks for 1/4 cup of Greek yogurt. Now, I'm not gonna use Greek yogurt, but Greek yogurt is great for protein. So if you don't have any dairy allergies, it's a great yogurt to have. It's got probiotics in it. And really super healthy for you, you know, if you don't buy the ones that are full of sugar. I had a lot of dairy this weekend and I try to minimize my dairy, so I decided not to put it in this. I'm gonna just use some cashew yogurt. You can get almond yogurt. I usually buy coconut, but they didn't have any. So I'm gonna put 1/4 cup in there, or what I think is 1/4 cup. But I will make this recipe again and use Greek yogurt because I think that adds a really good healthy aspect to it. Okay, I'm just gonna mix that up with my whisk. At the same time, I'm gonna preheat my oven to, let's see, 350. And I pulled out both my pans because I'm not sure how much this batter is gonna make, and we'll see. I don't like when my pumpkin bread is like this big. I like it this big. Okay, so I just mixed that. So in here is pumpkin, egg, and my yogurt. Next, I'm gonna add this recipe calls for coconut sugar, which is great, but I don't usually have that. I use honey or maple syrup, actually mostly maple syrup. But it asks for 6 tablespoons, so I just put a little bit. I'm not gonna put as much as normal because 1, I don't love them super sweet. 2, I'm gonna be adding chocolate chips. And 3, I used vanilla cashew yogurt, and that's already really sweet. So I don't add as much sugar for that. And the thing is, when I make breads, if they aren't sweet enough, then you can just add, like sometimes I just put some peanut butter on it, spread peanut butter or spread a little bit of jam on there. There's always stuff to sweeten it up if you don't find it's not sweet enough. Okay, then we're gonna add a little bit of vanilla. And I don't measure that either. But I will put the recipe with all the actual amounts in there. Some cinnamon. 1 teaspoon. I'm just gonna estimate that as well. It asks for nutmeg, but I'm gonna use this pumpkin pie mixed because that has it all in there. That has nutmeg in it. And that's 1/4 teaspoon, but I'm gonna add a little bit more because my pumpkin is just pumpkin and it needs that extra. Okay, what else? We need a little bit of baking soda, a teaspoon. Where are my teaspoons? We're gonna have to guess that too, and I don't usually like to guess baking soda because that makes a huge difference. But I don't have a teaspoon right now, so that's gonna have to be that. Then 1 1/4 cup, you can use whole wheat flour. I'm not gonna use whole wheat flour because I don't eat gluten. So I have my gluten-free flour here. And I just mix whatever the recipe calls for of regular flour. I just use my gluten-free flour. So this is 1 1/4 cup. So I'm just gonna measure that out. This is a 1/2 cup, so that's a cup. And then half of my half is my other quarter. Okay? Okay, let me just wash my hands. Okay, now you're just gonna mix that all together. And at the very last thing is where I'm gonna add my chocolate chips, because anything chocolate. And what I would also maybe do, and I have some extra bananas, but now that I don't wanna go pull out my thing and mash them up, so I won't add it, and this is definitely gonna be the smaller. As you can see, it doesn't make a whole ton. I would almost double this recipe, I think, and use my bigger pan, but this will last me for the week of 1 treat a day. Okay, what's the difference between regular flour and gluten-free flour? Okay, good question, Lori. Regular flour has the gluten protein in it. Now, there's a lot of people that have sensitivities to that. There's a lot of people that cannot have it due to celiac. For me, I do not have celiac, but I have a very large sensitivity to it. So, have I probably had some gluten-free or gluten in some of my diet? Probably it has gone in there somewhere at some point with me not knowing. I don't know, but I don't buy anything with gluten in it. I don't make anything with gluten in it, and I try my best to stay away from gluten. Back in the day, I think they were processed very differently, and that's why we were able to tolerate it better. So I'm gonna use this little one, you guys. I'm just gonna spray it. This is just coconut. I don't know, this one's pretty little, but that's okay. We're gonna make it fit. Let me put my chocolate chips. You guys, I almost forgot my chocolate chips. Now, these are dairy, nut, and soy free. So these are for people that have a dairy allergy. I do not have a dairy allergy. I'm just try to keep it to a minimum due to my Hashimoto's. So, and because like I said, I had a lot of dairy this weekend. I'm trying to stay away from dairy in this recipe. So I also like them because they're really little. So they're really good in any kind of treat thing. Like I even mix sometimes them in my yogurt. So just mix a few chocolate chips in there. And actually this will fit perfectly in there. And like I've said before, when you try a new recipe, I highly recommend you always read the reviews because you get a lot of tips in there of what worked for some people, what did it. And in the review, I read that someone had to double this, so that would have been wise. But this is gonna be perfect for me. There you go. We're gonna put it in the oven at 350 for, let's see how long, 40 to 45 minutes. I find with these little breads, it's usually a little bit longer, but just put a toothpick in there, make sure it comes out clean. If it does, then let it sit for like 10, 15 minutes. My trick to any sort of banana bread or loaf that you are making to keep it moist, as soon as it comes out of the oven, I'll let it sit for a couple minutes and then I take it out and I wrap it in tin foil and it keeps the moisture in there. That's my trick. So everyone, have a happy Sunday. Thank you for watching. Please feel free to share with this. If you guys want the recipe, just put a heart in the comments below and I will, once I get the whole visual thing together, I will send it to you. All right, happy Sunday guys. Thanks for watching. Always appreciate your support. And please share.